A pick me woman and or man will stay literally in a toxic relationship knowing that's literally killing him or her. A lot of time maybe men are pick me's too, where they would choose that new woman and choose to raise that new woman's kids, even though he might suspect that those babies are not literally his, or might not even be his, maybe from the man who left her. And out of spite, because abuse, neglect of children by men and women who are pygmies, it's an intentional act by people who are very insecure in themselves, so they seek external validation. So they do that as a way to punish the other woman, as a pick me woman.
I'm kind of happy that I didn't grow up a pick me, because I feel like it helped me transition into wifehood and motherhood seamlessly without losing myself. My mom taught me early on not to censor men in my life. She did it early on with little words. My dad wanted my mom to be a stay-at-home mom, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna do that, but we're gonna build a salon in the basement. Thank you. So she ran a salon in the basement until we were all in grade school. Then she opened 3 beauty salons in the city. Like, she was like, I got you, but I got me first. I just loved seeing my mom as such an independent, hardworking woman, but still a wife and a mom. Like, my dad was the happiest with her. I feel like watching her tackle life so seamlessly taught me, like, as much as you love your husband and you're taking care of, girl, make sure you get that coin, okay? And as much as you want to take care of your kids and love your kids, make sure you're still having fun and taking care of yourself. She had a ball. Like, all the pictures that I have of my mom are of her having a good time, like luxury bags at parties with friends, but then also like showing up to our school events and like making sure that we're taken care of. Like, I don't know, I just feel like that's what I envision for myself as a grown woman, just like being able to take care of my kids and my husband, but also being able to take care of mama too, okay? And in African cultures, it's a little different because you're mainly taught to center men. You're taught to center your husband, your father, your brothers, your sons. Like, your life is meant to center men. And I feel like my mother was like, no, baby, I'm gonna center me. Thank you. I guess I refused to become that girl that like her whole identity was formed in the fact that she was a mother and a wife. And I just feel like I am so happy that my mother left this lasting impression on me. Her memory lives on through me as just trying to navigate life the same way that she did. And so, yeah, that's my quick little story. Okay, bye guys.
I'm the daughter of a pick-me, and I learned a lot of lessons to not repeat my mother's mistakes. So here they are really quick so that you guys don't make them yourselves. And if you're the daughter of a pick-me, let me know what lessons you've learned, or you can piggyback off mine. Number 1, who they show you they are, that's who they are. Don't fall for any other bullshit. That's who they are. How they treat you 95% of the time is it's who they are, it's how they are, it's how they're going to treat you forever and always. Yeah, what is this, Steve Harvey? What did he say? Don't make a man tell you more than once he don't like you. Is that what he said? Or love you? Something like that. He's right, and you should listen to him. He's a wise man. Don't let them tell you more than once that they don't like you. If they treat you like trash, that's who they are. If they're doing it while you're dating, if they're treating you like a sex object, if they're treating you like garbage, if they're making you feel unworthy, if they are not respecting your time, your intelligence, they talk shit on your family, shit on your friends, you know, all of that, that's who they are. Trust them when they show you that that's who they are. That's who you're going to marry. That's who you're going to have children with. Don't do that. The third thing, and this is the very important thing, do not depend on a man financially. Do not do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite. I'm a hypocrite. Okay, I'm going to be so transparent and real with you guys right now. I am a stay-at-home fiance. I'm a stay-at-home girly. I am. But the big difference is my man pays me. He pays me cash money at the beginning of every month, pays me money. So I have a nest egg. I can leave if I want. My car breaks down, I can pay for it. I can do anything that I want to do because he pays me, because he views what I do for us and for our home as a job. I know that is a blessing. I know that I am very fortunate. I am aware of all of those things. I'm aware. I know that not everyone can do this, but I am begging you, from the daughter of someone who was and is still financially abused, who doesn't have any money, who doesn't have a vehicle, who is isolated, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. The next thing is don't date or marry anyone for their potential. I hear sprinkle ladies say that a lot. I'm not talking about a career. That's not bad advice. But I'm talking about personality, character, and morals. And do not date or marry for the potential of how they used to treat you or for the potential of how you want them to treat you, because they won't revert and they won't change. They won't. And don't let these old ladies tell you when he's a father, he'll change and mature. No, he won't. No, he won't. No, he won't. Bet. No, he won't. They don't change. They do not change. Let him change for the next woman. It is not your fault. You are lovable. You are worthy. You are intelligent. You are an amazing individual. He's just not for you. Go find the one for you. You're evolved. He's not. He's down here. You're up here. Stop looking down and begging him to be considerate and competent and kind. And lastly, as the daughter of a pick-me, what I have learned is don't have kids if you're a pick-me. Don't have kids, because you're not going to pick your kids over them. And you chose your partner. You got to choose. You know, if you get to choose, your kid doesn't get to choose. Kids don't choose who their parents are. So, like, if you're gonna be a pick-me, if you already know that about yourself, or like you're recognizing, I'm never gonna leave him even though he treats me like shit, he'll treat your kids like shit too. So just don't have them. Don't give that man children. And just, ugh. Okay, so anyway, before this gets to be like 9 minutes long, like all my other fucking TikToks, those are my top 4. Don't date for potential. Don't marry for potential. Previous potential or future potential. Believe them when they show you who they are. Don't depend financially on a man. And don't have kids. If you're gonna be with a guy that treats you like shit, don't have kids, because they're just gonna treat the kids like shit too, and you're gonna end up picking him over the kids. So, well, not everyone is. If you're like me, you'd leave. But if you don't follow the first 3, you might not leave. You might end up just like my mom. So, yeah, life lessons. Life lessons from the daughter of a pick-me. And let me know if you guys have any other like nice lessons for people that it's good to spread like information and let everybody know that they're not alone. We're not alone in this. And if you guys have any advice, let them know in the comments. And thank you guys again, seriously, for the surge of followers. All of you guys are watching my stuff and it's making me feel so special and seen. I'm like a little nobody. I did not realize sharing my stories was going to connect me with so many people. So sorry, I keep shaking the phone. I'm really grateful. So yeah, thank you.
We don't talk enough about how pick-me's come from a long line of pick-me's, and how a lot of our mothers were actually victims of abuse, and they stayed with their abusers because it allowed them to survive. But what they didn't realize is that by enabling their abusers, they subconsciously trained their daughters to become pick-me's, to essentially have a man for the sake of having a man, even if he treats you and your children horribly. My mother was a stay-at-home mom, and one of the things that she enabled my dad to do is take his anger out on us if we were being too noisy after he came home from work, and if we were being too noisy while he's taking a nap, and if we're being too noisy while he's eating. And it's like, we're his children too, and we were kids. Kids are not quiet. Kids are rarely ever quiet. And my dad kept knocking my mom up and constantly bringing more kids into the family. So it's like, how do you expect a household of this size to be quiet as soon as you step foot into the house? And that's what I mean by enabling abuse, because taking your anger out on your children is abusive, and training your children to be quiet as soon as their father steps into the house is enabling that abuse. If she was not an enabler, she would have said, they're kids. They're happy to see you. They're your kids. Sit and have dinner with them. Have a conversation with them. Watch a movie with them. And my dad would only do these things if he was in the mood to do them. So again, that's what I mean by enabling abuse and training your daughters to become pick-me's, because now we have to sit down, shut up, be quiet until he's in the mood to come and socialize, until he's in the mood to come and talk, until he's in the mood to want to watch a movie or to want to eat with us or to want to see what we're up to or to check in or whatever it was. Like, that's how you become a pick-me, is you tiptoe around a man and you anticipate his needs and you fulfill those needs so that he doesn't lash out on you, so that he doesn't take his anger out on you, so that he doesn't call you names, so that he doesn't abuse you. And it's like, you're my father, though. When you grow up as a little girl who doesn't receive unconditional love from her father and receives unconditional love from her mother until her father says, no, this is wrong. You shouldn't be this nice to them. You shouldn't treat them like that. You know, my dad would literally shit on my mom for being nice to us and loving us unconditionally. He literally subconsciously trained her to also become abusive, to also take on his abusive traits, which is why it's easy for these women to become enablers, because they have been conditioned into thinking that there's nothing wrong with the behavior of this guy. And so when you grow up and you start dating men and you see these traits in these men, you don't think there's anything wrong with it, because you're like, oh, my dad was like this. Oh yeah, I am trained to please a man. I am trained to fulfill a man. I am trained to make sure that a man is always happy with me and doesn't lash out on me and doesn't take his anger out on me. And it's like, no, you're just a doormat. You're just a pick-me. And I think the saddest part about all of that is that they're never going to be 100% happy with you. Like, any guy that you are being a pick-me to is always going to have something to nitpick about. That's how he keeps you in that cycle of anticipating his needs and fulfilling them and revolving your entire life around making sure that he's happy, so he doesn't have a temper tantrum. Instead of teaching little boys about their emotions and how to communicate and how to regulate their emotions, we train little girls to anticipate everybody else's emotions and everybody else's needs around them and make sure that they change themselves so that they don't get negative emotions from this person around them. And as a result, a lot of girls take on these negative emotions. That's why a lot of pick-me's are depressed, have low self-esteem, have so much anxiety. They're literally just vessels that everybody dumps their negative emotions into and then says, make something out of this and make me happy. Make me happy so I don't feel like this. I don't care how you feel, you make me happy. It's your job. I'm the man. I'm the boss of the household. And that's why you see a lot of women today choosing to stay single. There simply aren't that many males who have emotional intelligence. Instead of unlearning all the toxic things they were taught growing up, they continue to perpetuate it. And they only look for women who have not unlearned any of the stuff that they were taught as a child as well, because they are easy to control and manipulate. A lot of males don't want to do the work of understanding their emotions and how to regulate them because it's too hard. Because they've gone their entire life with someone else telling them how they feel and what to do about their emotions. Like, I literally was dating a guy who was like twice my age, and I had to break it down to him, like, why he was acting certain ways around me because of his childhood wounds. And that's when I realized, wait, I'm doing the emotional labor for this grown ass man? Absolutely the fuck not. Like, there's just no amount of money that's worth that for me. Like, because that is a personal thing. I can't tell you how to change yourself because I don't really know everything you've been through to the extent that you know everything you've been through. And if you really want to heal as a man, then you have to do the inner work yourself. But a lot of them don't know how to heal and don't really have a desire to heal until they meet a healed woman and they're like, oh, I want some of that light. Oh, I want some of this confidence. Oh, I want some of this intuition. And they latch onto you and they suck you dry and they turn you into a pygmy again because they make you do all the emotional labor that you already did for yourself to heal from being raised by a mother who enabled the abuse of a toxic man. If you haven't healed from being a pygmy, please stay single, because you are going to keep attracting emotionally unintelligent and unavailable men who are going to suck you dry and use you as a vessel to dump all their trauma, all their pain, all their negative emotions that they don't want to deal with, that they don't want to understand, that they don't want to work through. They're going to dump it onto you. You're going to lose your light. You're going to become depressed, and they're going to be like, you're not the same woman that you were when I met you. This isn't working anymore. And they're going to leave you in a worse place than they found you. So please heal from your pygmyism, okay? Understand that no amount of validation from a male is going to make you feel as confident as validation from yourself. And understand that being validated by a male doesn't make you a winner in any sense. There is no prize for being validated by a male, but there is a prize for unlearning pygmyism, and the prize is a long and fulfilling and happy.
The first step on not being a pygmy is, first of all, you have to stay unbothered. You can't get mad. You can't erupt emotionally when you are dealing with someone, especially in a relationship or trying to be in a relationship. So being a pygmy is definitely a no-no. And so many people, I mean, I think everyone has been a pygmy in their life at some point, and they know better now. And if they don't, they're learning, or they should be. Pygmy era is not beginning, it is ending. And the reason why is because there's so many people that are doing the exact opposite. They're not being bothered. They're moving on quickly. They don't care. And it's kind of, they're putting themselves as a priority versus putting another person as a priority who doesn't feel the same way. And I think a lot of women need to do this. If the person that you are with does not feel like you're one of the most important people in their lives, then you shouldn't feel that way about them either. You know what I'm saying? You will probably put more on the line, do more, and lose more being that type of woman to whoever it is that you're with. So you have to knock off that pygmy, dust off that pygmy attitude and mindset, and start thinking about yourself.
Welcome to part 2 of socially acceptable forms of internalized misogyny in women. Now, before we dive into this list, don't get blocked today. I delete comments and block people like it's my fucking job to do so, and I don't have any guilt about it. I also don't care about your 5 to 15 comment thread justifying why you do any other things on the list. Those will also be deleted. Now, let's dive in. Number 1, if you see a woman in revealing clothes or wearing makeup and you automatically assume that she's doing it for the male gaze or to attract a man, welcome to Internalized Misogyny 101. I mean, that might be why you do those things, but believe it or not, some women simply do it because they're confident, because they dress how they want to dress, because it's hot outside, because they see makeup as an art and they enjoy it. Not every woman does things for men. If you want to cover your body from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet, go ahead and do that, but you're no better than the woman who wants to wear a tankini and a swimsuit cover while shopping at Walmart. Leave people alone. Mind your business. Number 2, if you're in a relationship or married, you have this sense that you're somehow better than single people. I got news for you. Just because you're married doesn't mean you're wise, it doesn't mean that you're emotionally intelligent, and it doesn't mean that you don't have shit you gotta work on. As a matter of fact, the women who have been most influential in my life were single. So if you think you're smart just because you legally attached yourself to a man, okay, you keep thinking that. Number 3, you constantly nag or ask women when they're going to have kids. That is literally nobody's business what they will or won't do with their uterus. Worry about yourself. Some women won't be able to have children. Some people have decided not to. It's personal to them, and trust me, they are tired of fucking explaining it to people. Leave people's uteruses out of your conversations unless they bring it up and ask your opinion on something. How about that? Number 4, you think women who have kids but aren't married to the kid's father are somehow low class. If you think it's shameful for a woman to have kids but not be married to the dad, hello, it's 2023, not 1957. You've obviously missed several chapters here. This might also send you into a tizzy. There are women who don't even have a relationship with a man. They go to a sperm bank and have kids, all by themselves. And here's another thing that might send you into a tizzy. Men leave married women all the time, alone to raise the kids by themselves. So you can do everything right and still end up just like the very women you're judging. Number 5, you put down stay-at-home moms or working moms. You think stay-at-home moms don't do anything all day, or you think that working moms are neglecting their kids. We can't win, can we? Newsflash, some moms work 12 hours at a factory or at a hospital. Some moms work part-time. Some moms stay home with their children. And as long as those kids are healthy, fed, and have everything they need, those are good moms. With this next point, first of all, I want to say that I am not talking about sex workers and people who have OnlyFans and things like that. I'm talking about women who are lonely and desperate, and they feel like any attention from men is good attention for men. So they stay up late at night and post random, scantily clad pictures on the internet, hoping that Chad will see it and post a fire or heart eyes emoji. Those that get this, get it, because I used to do it. Chad with the hard eyes does not like you or value you. He just wants to sleep with you. So I get it. You're getting a boost of confidence because Chad is showing you a little attention and all these guys are telling you how hot you are. But I can guarantee you that none of those guys are men that you ever want to be mixed up with. But if you're doing it because you just like doing it, then go for it. If you're doing it because you want your friends to be like, girl, you look good. Okay, then do that. Go for it. But please don't do shit for male attention. It's not worth it, okay? Number 7, and I spelled sharing wrong. Jeez, y'all forgive me, okay? Number 7, you think that women who share traumatic experiences with marriage and motherhood is negativity. A lot of you heifers lied to us and you painted marriage and motherhood in this magical, mystical light as if it was this big Disney movie, and then we get into it and we feel like we're failing, we fall into deep depression, we do dangerous things to ourselves. Some women even harm their own children, and if somebody would have warned us, most of us could have been better prepared for the shit that we endured. If you lie to women, especially when it comes to things like motherhood and childbirth, I think you are a fucking monster. Number 8, you only listen to men. I literally saw a guy today who is a male creator say shit about another male creator that women have already said. Several of us have already said those things, but there are women in his comment section like, thank you for being a safe place for us. I wanted to throw up my lunch. If it takes a man saying the same thing that everybody else has said in order for something to click, welcome to internalized misogyny. Number 9, you think being a good girl makes you better than other women. I don't show my skin. I don't wear makeup. I don't sleep around. I don't do this. I don't do that. And you will still get used, abused, and cheated on. Doing everything right does not mark you safe in the eyes of patriarchy. Number 10, you think that a man has to be taller and bigger than you in romantic relationships. I have bad news for you. This is from patriarchy. You have to be the little tiny woman, the little tiny princess, damsel in distress that needs to be rescued. And he has to be the big tall hero that can swoop you away and save the day. That's why a creator on this app who is plus size and her husband is more muscular constantly gets harassed and bullied because people can't seem to wrap their head around the fact that a man would actually love a woman that's her size. Yes, I totally get it. Short guys can be awful and they have this weird complex about them, but the root of that, and I'm not excusing any of their shitty ass behavior, the root of that is basically society has told them that they will never be fit to be a good partner because they don't meet the size requirements. And for the record, every guy that has ever mistreated me has been taller than me. Now, I did date a guy 3 years ago that fucked me over mentally worse than all the others, and he was shorter than me, but you get the point. Height doesn't matter. A jerk is going to be a jerk. Bonus, if you stayed this long, thank you so much for watching my video, but if you think your only purpose in life is being a mom, we've got some work to do. When my kids grow up and leave the nest, I will have shit to do outside of packing their lunches, cooking, cleaning for them, and doing things where they are the center of the world. They will not have to worry about having to keep me entertained because mom is going to be home alone, miserable, and lonely. If you make your kid your whole entire life, you are destined to become a helicopter mom who constantly swoops in and crosses their boundaries at any given moment. Mom, get a life. It doesn't mean that you don't love your kids, okay? It actually means you love your kids more because you want to take care of yourself so that you can take care of them. Remember, you can't pour from an empty cup. Okay, I have blue lips and a blue tongue because I'm eating a blue icy, so hopefully y'all give me grace and just overlook that. But I wanted to share some of the mistakes that I made when I was dating in my pick-me era that I want to try to help you guys avoid making. Number 1, I don't know if this is a real thing or not, but I had like Cinderella complex, Snow White complex, this whole idea that someday my prince will come. And while it's not bad to, if you're dating, it's not bad to wonder, where is the fucking guy already? What does he look like? It's not bad to wonder that. But there is balance. I just want to say this: nobody's coming to save you. You're going to have to save yourself. I don't care how much money the guy has. I don't care how much he loves you. He could be the best guy in the world. But if you have not done any work on yourself to unpack why you've been in so many toxic relationships, you are still going to be in that relationship, which could cause you to lose that relationship if you are, extremely insecure or have some coping mechanisms that might not be the healthiest. Not to mention, it puts you at greater risk of getting into other toxic, abusive relationships. Number two. The second one is I got excited way too soon over men that I had just met and was just starting to get to know. Every guy was the one. Every single date was, oh my gosh, I've never met anybody like this. Every single phone conversation was, we stayed on the phone for all night and we talked about everything and the conversation was so deep. Every guy was just amazing and the one, and I was writing my name to see if their last name would match with mine, and I should have just taken the pressure off. Every guy's not going to be the one. There's not even a such thing as the one, or else there wouldn't be people who got divorced, who got into another relationship, or widowed people who got into another relationship, or just people in couples any way that broke up and they get into another relationship. There is no one. There are many people who could possibly be compatible with you. So with that being said, instead of thinking of every date as the one and every phone call as, I've never felt like this before, you could feel like this again with the right person, to truth be told, take the pressure off and just have fun with that person until y'all have a discussion and otherwise is said. Y'all are two strangers, maybe even friends if y'all are further along in the dating process, but you don't know if this is the one yet because the one ain't real and y'all don't know each other. Number 3, I should have never been dating when I was broke. And save me the mess about everybody deserves love. Yes, most definitely, you're right. But if you can barely afford to pay your rent, you have other things to think about. I'll never forget back in 2008 when I was first getting my life in order, and I was so focused on dating and getting a boyfriend, proving to me that somebody could actually love me, that one of my friends was just like, hey, you just told me you can barely pay your rent. Like, priorities. You're more focused on getting a date than you are getting extra hours at work. What are we doing here? And I'm not saying that you have to be rich, but if you are coming home every day stressed about how you're going to eat, how you're going to pay the light bill, how you're going to pay your rent, how you're going to pay your car note, you've got other things that you've got to worry about. Take that energy that you are using to worry about these other men and worry about getting things better for yourself. Do we need to look for a different job? Do we need a side hustle? What can we do to fix this situation that we are in? Because I promise you, once you figure all that out, you'll have a much better time dating because you won't be obsessed with having somebody come. Hold on, I gotta lock my door. You won't be obsessed with somebody to come along, back to number 1, and saving the day, because you'll have already done that for yourself. And now you can focus on just having fun and not needing somebody, but wanting somebody that you don't have to have and enjoying that. Number 4, the universe truly saved my life with this one. This one might be TMI, so if you are a pearl clutcher, you might want to scroll away now or fast forward the video a little bit. I would have used protection. Your girl was a fucking whore, okay? Blanche Devereaux ain't got nothing on me, okay? Samantha from Sex and the City, girl, we would have been besties. I was so hot in the tail. My abusive ex-husband was my first, okay? And thanks to growing up and being able to ask questions and reading medical books, because at one point I wanted to be an OBGYN, I knew how all that stuff down there worked. I knew how sex worked. I knew how it was supposed to feel and all the things. So when I got with my abusive ex-husband, he did not provide all the things. I only had one O the whole time in the 5 years that we were together, and I did it. Okay? When we were doing it, I did that. So I was on a mission to find a guy who could do all the things, and I became obsessed with it. And there were two times where I could have had children, but I didn't. And I thank the universe every day that I didn't get something that could have changed my life in a negative way. I came out unscathed. OMG. So I definitely would have been using protection. I definitely would have been asking for STD results. I definitely just would have been, I just would not have given it up to so many men who didn't deserve that part of me. And I most definitely would have required a lot more from those men. Number 5, or is this number 6? Anyway, I would have realized that I am the prize. And you could easily argue, we're both the prize. There's no such thing as a man or a woman and somebody's the prize and the other one's not. Shut up. I would have realized that I am the prize. Statistically, it's just fact. Men's lives are improved when they have a wife. Women's lives, their health decreases, and it subtracts years from their life when they get a husband. Bitch, I'm the prize. Because I am quite literally sacrificing my life to be with some boob who's going to benefit from my existence. So I would have realized that I was a prize, and much like number 4, I would have required a lot more. Back then, my ex-husband told me that no man would ever love me again, so I went on this mission to prove him wrong. And I just tumbleweeded from poor relationship to poor relationship, getting mistreated and dog-walked and just embarrassed in every kind of way. So I would have definitely had higher standards. All these women who were like, I need you to pay my light bill. I need you to pay my rent. I can't sleep with somebody and you're not doing anything for me. I used to judge that. Those women are so smart. Are you kidding me? You better be doing something. You're not going to get in this for free. Let me tell you something. Funeral parlors are hesitant to hire men because they will with the corpses. So you can get a hole, but you can't get this one without putting in work. Okay? I will require something from you. It's gonna cost you. So all of you women trying to be the cool girl and you brag about, well, I don't mind if he doesn't do this and I don't care if I can tell. You look like it. And I mean that in the most best friend, nicest way possible. Okay? Anyway, those are some of the mistakes that I made. I learned a lot, and I'm taking those lessons and just passionately helping women now avoid those same mistakes that I did. Anyway, I hope this video was helpful. This icy is blue raspberry, and it's so good, y'all.
Whether it's society, a lot of times society has conditioning too, because a lot of women are conditioned from childhood in many cultures to grow up being groomed to become wives. The cooking, the cleaning, the being soft, feminine, the keeping it all together, even at their detriment, the even getting pH off or getting STIs and allowing the man to do whatever to you and vice versa. Sometimes men do this too, but a lot of time men pick-me's a lot of time can look slightly different and it's not talked about too much. But a lot of women pick-me's are the reason why many men are not held accountable for their abuse, because they enable it. They're elderly women in our society, in our communities, in our families. Heck, your own mother can be a pick-me, can be your first bully. And we don't address all this stuff, the mother wound, the father wound, the neglect. This is because a lot of people defer their own internal validation, being able to validate themselves, being able to suit themselves. I mean, every now and then you kind of fall off and do something might not align with your personality or your values, your morals, whatever. But where this defer is constant, is consistent, is the only way they can suit themselves is that somebody else, a man or a woman, will have to be in their lives. They're codependent. They're enmeshed with that person. They're trauma bonded to that person so much that even if that person is doing them bad, give them STIs, questionable behaviors have changed. They have become so codependent on that person that they cannot even see themselves being without that person. The fear, the anxiety, they feel so broken without that person. It's so grand that they're literally attached to that person. A lot of people might end up inpatient psychiatric one-on-one care. A lot of people might try to unalive themselves because a man, sometimes, minority of the cases, have tried to leave them. But I shed the light to say that in the cases where children, innocent children, are involved, and some women will stay with their boyfriends and even sometimes their husband or their the children's step parent, because they're so codependent on that person, or they cannot see themselves living alone or being content alone, or seeking therapy or finding validation or finding peace within them, or sitting with the discomfort, the fear of whatever bubbles up when they're alone. There's some people literally cannot be alone and soothe themselves by maybe reading a book, listening to a podcast, finding great shows, going out themselves, doing solo travels, enjoying their children or enjoying their solo life if they're child free. They just cannot sit with the anxiety and the fear that bubbles up because they have a lot of unhealed childhood issues that that they avoid, and the avoiding is numbing in different ways, and avoiding is always having to be in a relationship as a way to cope. And sometimes too, it's a way to feel validation in society, because being attached to someone, having a boyfriend, a fiance, a husband, is a status symbol for them, because a lot of people like that might not have any vision or goals beyond being a mother, a father, or being in a relationship, being called a girlfriend, being called a fiance, being called a wife, being called a husband, or being called something like that. So I'm here to say the detriment that happens when you're growing up with a pick-me parent, a pick-me mother, or a father who is touching that child inappropriately, and that was brought up to the mother's attention. I'm just using this complete vice versa, and completely ignores it or blows it out, or I'm watching some of the videos that I stitch here, shows you these are real life situations. These are real life issues that happen in our society, especially in our African societies, where there's abuse, literal essays happening to children in household. And there's this saying that what happens in this household stays in this household. But we don't air our dirty laundry. We don't talk about this stuff. Your father is going through stress, or your mother is going through stress, or we need him, or you're not respectful enough, you're not humble enough, you're too much, you talk too much, or they try to shut you up, they try to minimize you, they try to abuse you and squash you, especially in African communities. This is so rampant for children who maybe have a sense of self. They know that they want to rebel, they want to question the parents, like, what's happening, doesn't feel, this is not right, or they report this to a teacher, they report this to a neighbor, and the parent gets mad and threatens to unalive them, or threaten to kick them out of the house, threatens a lot of different things, withholds food, punishes them, locks them up, refuses to pay their school fees, refuses them to buy them clothing, refuses to engage with them, give them the silent treatment. There are parents who give their children silent treatment. That's their own childhood traumas, that crappy childhood that they have endured, but they are not, or unwilling to look at themselves and do the work in therapy and heal those wounds, so they can become a little more of a wholesome person as a parent. A lot of parents really have not had the concept of being ready emotionally from a hard place to be there, because it's a lot. It takes a lot of mental energy, mental capacity, bandwidth, managing of yourself, and then managing your children as well, and to co-regulate with them and do all the stuff on the daily basis. But if you're not ready emotionally, truly, maybe you shouldn't have children. You shouldn't be a pick-me, because you rather pick to be with that man rather than to listen to the concerns or the issues of the children. Because mind you, children are just like adults, but because maybe they don't have rights yet, they're not making money yet, or sometimes children just don't have the verbiage to really articulate what it is that they're experiencing, and all because they are at the mercy of this parent financially, they might be completely scared to be left alone. Downright, some of these parents might threaten these children that they're going to leave them with CPS, or they're going to leave them in foster care, or whatever the threat might be. But these are the nature and the dark psychology of pick-me women, and also pick-me men in many of our societies. And until some of the children recognize what it is, they grow up and they start to do the healing and repairing themselves. Many people have become broken because pick-me women and men choose to be in toxic, high conflict, narcissistic, abusive relationship with these said children than to leave and start afresh. The fear of leaving, being broken, and sitting in that nastiness of that relationship suit them better than doing the work to live it. And some people also become comfortable maybe the financial aspect of things, so they stay because I get it. We all been there sometimes, especially when it comes to finances. And if you're planning to exit stage left, cope. If you're not, and that's your long-term plan, and you just don't care, and you still stay despite knowing that your children are being threatened, abused, neglected because of money, then that's a whole different level of a situation. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, and I'll come back with videos like this. But pick-me women, pick-me men are a detriment to this very fabric of our families, of our society, of our communities. Let's talk about it. Okay, bye.
What's really heartbreaking is I realized my mom made everything about a man, getting a man, finding a man, and that has what's been communicated to me. And when I think about the self-esteem struggles that I've had throughout my entire life, they can all be hinged on this fact that thematically in my life, she made everything about a man. One time I sent her this photo, right, kind of showing her how my hair grew over the past 3 years of having locks. And it was so crazy because she even made that about a man. Like, how do you make my hair growth about a man? Damn. So I'm reading this book called Men Don't Love Women Like You by G.L. Lambert, and he's getting my ass together. And it's crazy how a stranger is telling me about my worth far more than my mother ever had. And that's where I think a lot of us end up getting stuck, is that we're trying to now in our adult years
believe because of authors, because of therapists and life coaches like myself, because our friends are telling us how worthy we are. And we're so confused. We're scratching our heads because we're like, wait, we've never been made out to be special. And a lot of women can resonate with the fact that a lot of our parents made it more so about, you need this to have a man, you need that to have a man, you better cook or a man won't, you better not cut your hair because a man don't. Everything was about a man. And I realized my mother never really made it a point to be like, listen, you are so special, a man better, she never made it clear that a man must come a certain way, which made it so easy for me to just be impressed by any man that would come along, which made it so easy for me to just accept the bare minimum treatment. And I realized this didn't just happen with men, this happened with women too, where, again, there was nothing that ever communicated, hey, you are special. Someone should treat you like this. Someone should do this for you. Someone should come at you with this kind of energy. It was never like that. It was always, hey, you need to make sure you're on point. Which is why a lot of women have a hard time believing they're the prize, which is why a lot of women easily buy into, well, we both can be prizes. Like, no, fuck all that. I don't give a fuck what the fuck I didn't hear growing up. In my 30s, it's such a redemptive season for me because there's so much I didn't understand in my teens, so much I didn't understand in my 20s. But in my 30s, oh, you will be convinced that I was raised by, like, the Queen of England, the way I recognize my importance, the way I understand how I should be treated, and the way I'm not tolerating anything less than what I establish my standards to be. But it's just so crazy. When I think about it, I'm like, dang, there were just certain things that were never communicated to me. No one ever made me feel like I'm so special, someone needs to come like this. The only time I believe my mom ever did a great job of making me feel like I was special is when it came to making money. She was like, you can do anything you want. You can make that money, honey. You are so smart. You are Marsha B. You can become anything. And she only did that because she wanted me to really follow that whole pre-med train. And I've vented about that enough on other TikToks. But I just think it's so crazy how many parents do this to their children, and more specifically their daughters. And if you can relate to that, I am with you. I am so with you on that. But it is so important you take it upon yourself to do some redemptive, healing, restorative work, to believe in your worth, to believe in what you deserve, and start to shield yourself and build yourself up to receive nothing less than these new established standards that you should have when it comes to dating. You are the prize. You are the prize, and a man that is willing to put the work in becomes a winner when he earns connection to someone as divine as you. This is what we should have always been hearing. This is what we should have always been hearing, but instead we think less of ourselves because we've always been told, be like this, be like that to get a man. Fuck all that. Fuck all that. You are already all that in a bag of chips. It's just so high time you come to terms with that and start to have standards in your dating life that match that. If you need help and you need to work with a life coach / therapist to help you navigate that, I'm so happy to be on that journey with you. So many of my clients and I are doing this work together to help them live the lives that they've always deserved, regardless of what they've heard from either their mother, their fathers, any other caregivers that they've ever had in their life. It is not too late. Okay, I don't care how old you are, 40, 50, I mean, I care. It is never too late to start to do this work. So I hope this helps somebody out there. If it resonates, chat with me in the comments. Let me know how you feel. Until next time, love you, mean it, bye.
I've spoken a lot about how religion creates narcissistic fathers, but today I want to talk about how religion creates pick-me mothers, because unfortunately, the two go hand in hand. If you have a narcissistic, abusive, religious father, you probably have a pick-me, enabler, religious mother. First and most obvious sign is that she prefers her sons over her daughters. A lot of pick-me women are very male-centered because they genuinely want male validation. And this shows up in the form of them prioritizing their sons' wants and needs and giving their sons more freedom over their daughters, because they view their daughters as competition and they view their sons as a potential love interest. This is called covert incest. But when you sprinkle in religion, what happens to the daughters is that they are forced to cover up more, because a pick-me religious mother is gonna view any man that looks at her daughter as competition for her also. Even if the man is years younger than her, even if the man is not her type. So what she's gonna do is she's gonna shame her daughter into covering up and actually force her to not appeal to men so that her daughter doesn't get male attention and so that her security is not threatened. This also means that if a predator assaults you as a young girl, your mother is very likely to do absolutely nothing about that. In fact, she might actually enable your predator and blame you and insult you and say you're damaged goods and say nobody's gonna want you and say you're going to hell and all this other horrible stuff. Why? Because again, she's male-centered, so she doesn't care that her daughter got violated. She cares that a man pursued her daughter. That's what's more important to her, rather than the fact that her daughter is actually abused and now traumatized. Another thing about pick-me mothers is that they view their children as a burden the same way narcissistic, abusive, religious fathers do. Because a lot of the time, these pick-me mothers don't even actually want kids. They just want to do what they think God wants them to do, which is get married and have kids. So they get married and they have kids so that everyone will look at her and be like, oh, you're such a good woman. You're such a good mother. God is going to reward you for all this hard work. But in actuality, she's not protecting her kids. She's not teaching her kids. She's not providing security or love to her kids. And she generally treats them like they're irrelevant. On top of that, having kids for a pick-me religious mother is what keeps a man around, right? Because in religion, men are not supposed to abandon their families or their children. So if a woman has kids with a man, then under the guise of religion, that man has to stay with her to provide for the children, right? So this is another way that pick-me religious mothers center men over their own children. Because if that man is a narcissist and abusive and using religion to control everyone in the household, guess who's enabling him? The pick-me religious mother. Why? Because all she cares about is having a man. So what ends up happening is all the abuse that your pick-me mother is going to endure through being married to your narcissistic, abusive father is going to be thrown on you as a child. She's going to come to you and vent to you about her problems and complain about him to you and make all these plans that she's going to leave him and whatever, but she's never actually going to follow through on any of those because she doesn't actually want to leave the man. She just wants to feel like a victim. The reason why she wants to feel like a victim is because it gives her a sense of importance. It gives her an identity. Religious pick-me women believe in sacrifice, believe in victimhood, because they think these are things that God is going to reward them for. But on a day-to-day level, these are very unbearable things to go through. So they have to offload this burden onto their children. So their children often end up being used as pawns for either having her back over your dad's back, or validating her emotions and feelings at the expense of you having emotions and feelings, withholding her love if you choose to tell her, like, you're wrong, you should leave, this is not what you're supposed to be doing, God doesn't actually want this, and all that other stuff. And she might actually triangulate you with your narcissistic, abusive dad if she feels like it. Because even though these women use their children as therapists, they don't hesitate to throw their children under the bus if she wants to win the approval of her husband. So at one point, she might actually snitch on you to your dad and tell your dad that you said this or you said that about him, just to create drama so that your dad has her back instead of having your back. All of these toxic family dynamics regularly cause tension between the girl children in the family and the boy children in the family. A lot of girl children are not only victims of abuse from their pick-me mothers, but also from their brothers, who have a superiority complex because they don't actually understand what's going on yet. They just see that their mothers prefer them over their sisters. So they start resenting their sisters. So they hate their sisters, they bully their sisters, they snitch on their sisters. They get their sisters involved in situations just so they can be like, see, she's bad, she's a hoe, she's this, she's that. And it enables these abusive tendencies a lot more. Lastly, pick-me women who are religious will most often try to marry off their daughters to someone who is physically unattractive, financially unstable, and emotionally absent, because they want their daughters to experience the same level of abuse that they experience by being married to a narcissistic religious man. This is incredibly sad because a lot of girls don't even realize what's happening until it's too late, and they're being sold this idea that having a husband and being married is freedom. So they do it. They get married to this guy. Sometimes they don't even have a say, right? They just get married against their will to this guy, and they repeat the life of their mother, because they don't know how to break the cycle. They didn't have a chance to break the cycle, and nobody taught them how to break the cycle. So if you have a pick-me religious mother like this, I advise you to go no contact. I do. A pick-me religious mother will always insert herself in your relationships with a man in order to step on you, essentially squash you down into nothing. Even if she doesn't want your man, she's gonna do that just because she needs the validation of a man. And we know that most men will take the opportunity to pile on the abuse that a woman is facing, especially if it's coming from her mother. They're very rarely gonna be the ones to be like, oh, your mother is kind of a pick-me, you should stop talking to her. In fact, a lot of the men who end up marrying women like this actually point out the fact that her mother doesn't even love her unconditionally. Her mother doesn't even support her. Her mother doesn't even have her back. Her mother likes him more than she likes her own daughter. Religion creates this dynamic because it tells women that they are less than a man. And when you have an inferiority complex, you do look to men to validate your existence. This shows up as abuse. Because when you don't know how to validate yourself, you're gonna tear down every woman who gets validation from a man, even if that woman is your own daughter.
Mothers are not victims in the way children are. That's still an adult who chose to enter that relationship. Most pick-me women are covert narcissists, if not all. A common characteristic of type B personality disorders is callousness towards self. Pick-me's will endure all kinds of things from men. They're actually not bothered by how they're being treated as much. They have an end goal, and that end goal is, I want people to see I have a man, a specific type of man. So they'll endure almost anything, and you will feel sorry for them as an onlooker. You will feel sorry for them, but to them, they are winning because they have that type of man that they want. They are ego-driven, and part of that is being envy-driven as well. So, you know those types of people that envy anything and everything? So they want other people to look at them and think, I have the man, I have a man, I have a man. They will endure absolutely anything to ensure they reach their goal, to ensure when people look at them, they envy them. That's why you will feel sorry for them, but they don't even feel sorry for themselves. So when children are involved, these types of women, the children will look at their mother and think the mother is the nicer person in the relationship because they're a woman, right? They don't have that physical strength on their side, and maybe finances might be involved as well. However, as you grow older, you realize that that parent was also an adult. This is why I'm always saying mothers are not victims in the way children are. That's still an adult who chose to enter that relationship. And if you look closely, when those pick-me women are being cheated on, the man comes with 3 more baby mamas, that woman is going to have a 3rd, 4th child to secure her position in the marriage or in the relationship. A person with empathy towards themselves and towards their own children would not birth more children with someone who's messy. It's callousness. They're covert narcissists. So you see a lot of adult children of these types of mothers. They start off by saying the mother was a victim too. So they don't see that the mother was actually the person who created the situation. Secondly, they get to a point where they say, well, if she couldn't protect herself, she couldn't have protected me. And then you get to a point where you actually realize she wanted to be in that situation and she didn't care how you would be impacted. She recruited you into a situation that she knew was horrible. The end goal was, I have a man. It was never, I want a happy family. I want a happy family. It was, I want a relationship that other people covet. That's what it is. This is why most pick-me women are covert narcissists at their core. Some people call it pick-me narcissism. It's covert narcissism. The name is Shido. I'm your personal emotional intelligence detective. Always keeping it real. Follow more talk. You won't regret it.
There's not enough discourse over pick-me parents. Those parents that want to be picked by everybody but their kids, so they sacrifice their kids to get attention from other people that don't matter. Let's talk about it. So one of the most traumatizing things for a child is when your parent places you in harm's way for a romantic relationship. That's toxic. That's trifling. And if you went no contact with them, good, because they don't deserve you. Now, a lot of times, people get stuck in situations that are very dangerous and are unhealthy, and they don't know how to leave. We're not talking about those parents. We're talking about the parents that like to stay in it, tell you that you're crazy, and then tell you it never happened. You're not crazy. We all know what happened. A lot of us have been through very similar paths in life. The trauma that comes from a pick-me parent picking an unhealthy partner just so they can have someone and appear a certain way to society. The amount of mental turmoil that it can cause you, especially as you grow older, they show no remorse. And they say several years later that they're proud of their decision while simultaneously still expecting you to talk to them. The trauma that that does to your brain, it's just kind of like, it's like, wow, you knew what you were doing and you didn't care and you do it again, but you still want me to reach out and talk to you. Weird. And it's super heartbreaking because if your parents wouldn't choose you, who would? You. This is where loving yourself comes in. And it's hard and it sucks because how do you love yourself when no one's ever taught you to do that? How do you love yourself when you're taught not to love yourself and when you're taught that the needs of other people are more important than yours, i.e. your parents wanting a partner for show versus you living a healthy, safe life and them actually living a healthy and safe life that doesn't involve an unhealthy relationship. There comes a point where you have to stop trying with your parents. You have to stop trying to get them to see your side. You have to stop trying to get them to take accountability. They don't care. They're never going to change. They're proud of their choices. They know they have trauma. They're never going to get therapy for it. You're always going to be wrong in their eyes. They're always going to expect you to love them regardless. You don't have to because they haven't loved you like literally at all. And they would literally be judging you and dragging you for doing the exact same thing that they did because it doesn't align with their image. See, they can do it because they follow that whole do as I say and not as I do. But what I want you to do is choose you and know that it wasn't your fault. There was literally nothing that you could have done. You were literally a child. You were literally just a teenager. You were literally just a young adult trying to survive and you didn't want your mother, father, or whoever, guardian, with someone that was overtly and blatantly trash. And no one's ever going to understand what you went through except for you and people that have been through things similar. No one ever gets what it's like to have parents that put on a show, or a parent that puts on a show for other people just to have a relationship. And then they wonder why nobody...
Check out my sparkly eyeshadow. Second of all, there are two types of women that grate on my ever-loving nerves. And these two different types of women could be the same women at different points in time. The first type of woman is the woman who is depressed and sad and never has anything, any energy to do anything, never really gets involved in her kids' lives, is never really mentally and emotionally there for her children. But as soon as she gets into a relationship, all of a sudden she's sprightly and has all the energy in the world to hang out with a man and is all up in his life and wanting to get shit going for him and make his dreams come true and be involved in his comings and goings. The second type of woman is the woman who is only mentally, emotionally there for her children when she is single. When she's single, my kids are my life. I love my son. I love my daughter. My kids are my world. I would do anything for my children. I live for my children. And then as soon as she gets a boyfriend, she's all about her boyfriend. And now she's arguing with her kids about how they need to hurry up and grow the fuck up and get out of her house and stop being lazy, while her man sits on his ass and he gets to be lazy and not do shit. Now all of a sudden her and her kids are at odds, and she's pawning them off on their grandma, their cousins, their aunts, so that she can spend her every waking second with her man. I've known both types of women throughout my life, and it's so odd to watch, especially on social media. The first woman is always sad and depressed. She's the one who's usually constantly always making jokes about how hard motherhood is. Motherhood is hard, but this woman, she never has anything good to say about her children, anything. She's just always up to nothing until she has a man, and then you've never seen her out and about this much. You didn't even know she was able to walk because you always see her not doing shit. The other woman, you see her post about her children all the time. My kids are my life. I don't understand how women can have a life outside of their children. I'm always home with my children. And then as soon as she gets a man, it's just pictures of her and her man all the time. You suck as a mother if the only time you're excited about life is when a man is involved. You suck as a mom if the only time you love your children is when you're single and there ain't no other options. And it's just you. I have seen too many women over the years completely turn their backs on their children as soon as they get into a relationship. You guys know the movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Willy Wonka, and we all joke about how the grandpa was just laying in bed and sickly until Charlie got the golden ticket. That's how a lot of these women are when it comes to men. They're just, oh, I can't do nothing. And as soon as I get a man, I got the golden ticket. And these type of women, unfortunately, are the types of women who get taken advantage of. And even more so, unfortunately, they're the type of women who allow their children to get taken advantage of by the men that they get in these relationships with. I didn't even get into the situation of women who get pregnant and they only keep the baby because they think that that will keep the man in their life. Now that's a whole nother video that I'm gonna have to do.
You want to talk about trauma? Talk about the trauma of having a pick-me mother. People don't talk about it a lot, but there's a specific trauma that comes with that. And when I say a pick-me mother, I mean a mom who will seek male validation or the approval of men over the safety of their children. And it happens a lot more than you think. These are women who will quite literally side with a man over their children, who will prioritize the affection and attention of men over their children. And we see pick-me's all the time, but what we don't know is that pick-me's have babies, and those babies walk away traumatized. Why? Because pick-me's are more prone to putting their children in harm's way through emotional neglect, allowing physical and other forms of abuse. These things happen as a result of moms prioritizing the needs of men over their children or themselves. I highly recommend, if you have a pick-me parent, to just examine your relationship with yourself and your relationships with romantic partners, and things like that, because it can show up in so many different areas of your life. And we don't want to repeat them patterns. And let me just note that a lot of women are conditioned to be pick-me's because we live in a patriarchal society, obviously. But that doesn't excuse the behavior. It just is like an explanation for the behavior. If you are a pick-me parent and you feel like your man needs to come first, I should whack you, but I'm not going to do that. But I will say, work on yourself, please.
Oh, this is a good question. Pick-me mothers. Those are the mothers that think that men are better than women. So this mother, she's a frightened mother. This mother had an abusive mother. An abusive mother that chose men over her daughter. So this mother is also permissive, in that this is the mother that don't protect her daughters. So it's the mother that when something happens to the daughter and the daughter comes to the mother is like, what did you do? Or we don't talk about that. She immediately ignores the daughter. She immediately ignores her and dismisses anything that could remotely challenge her and her beliefs around men. Because for a mother like that to acknowledge her daughter would be a mother who loved herself. Because a mother that values men over women hates herself. Women like this are scary because that woman came from a generation of women like that. So she wasn't the first. She came from a lineage of women who thought that men were better than women. This mother has had tragic guidance, and that she's experienced so much abuse from her own mother and the women in her lives that it has created a neurological barrier that it plays on systemic misogyny that overrides her protective maternal instinct. This woman has been chronically disappointed by her mother and by women. So when I say it's her mother, it's her aunts, it's her grandmother. It's a history of women who have bought into the construct of the patriarchal society. And this mother is also dangerous because she's the first predator that her daughter experiences. So she may not necessarily abuse her from a literal standpoint, just emotionally, but because she's a predator, she grooms her daughter to be mistreated. She grooms her daughter mentally to put herself in situations in which she will not be able to distinguish between safe people and harmful people. This mother is dangerous. This mother has a continued behavior of probably substance abuse. She has love deprivation. And a lot of the men that she dates, now this is the gag. Women that are pygmy mothers often date men that molest their children. Hear what I'm saying? They often, because I'm going to tell you, it's like this. You can only attract the deepest fear that you have. So this mother who's a pygmy mother, she fears that someone will do something to her. Because in her experience with her mother, she had to fend for herself. Because her mother showed her early on that I don't care about you. Whether it was verbal, nonverbal, it was very clear. And so this particular mother is dangerous in that she put her daughter in harm's way, her children in harm's way. And this mother may even know that it's going on, meaning she may even know that a man is abusing her children. But because she don't love herself and she maybe need this man for sex, currency, self-esteem, whatever she may think that this relationship is giving her, she would continuously put herself and her children in harm's way and turn a blind eye because she would rather have this piece of a man than no man. She would rather have a piece. I apologize. That was my dogs. But long or short, this pygmy mother is very dangerous because historically, she comes from a long line of women who don't protect women because she hasn't been protected. And so this woman is dangerous. And she doesn't mean to be dangerous, but she knows no other way. And so we don't talk enough about the pygmy mothers. And the pygmy mothers have an extreme sense of love deprivation and can even be narcissistic, but they definitely have a deep sense of self-hate that is dangerous to everyone that comes in contact with them.